What?
Waterbed, more
Oh,
bouncy.
a waterbed 1000.
No, sir.
You got spring water.
Mr. John, how was your week?
Long and tiring. Got a lot done. It was a very eventful weekend.
That's always good.
I didn't do the meme.
Well, go!
Yeah, I'm gonna do the meme. I'm roughly in this.
Mallory, but
It's
you
just
can
like,
do it if you
oh,
want.
let me
Alright.
just grab my can.
Let me just grab my can. There we go. Alright, from the top. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it was a super long week. Very eventful all the way around. Been very busy.
Okay.
Have I played anything? I honestly don't remember if I played any video games. Oh, I played Injustice the other day for the first time. That was pretty fun.
Wait, like OG Injustice?
No, Injustice 2, sorry.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, there's multiple, there's like,
There's
there's two.
Injustice 2, we beat each other up for a good solid 30 minutes, so that was
There you
kind of fun.
Injustice.
What else? I think that's it. A lot of work.
Mr. Josh?
Well, the past week was stressful. Let's see. Trying to think what else I've been doing. Did do the Halloween event for Animal Crossing. That was,
After all.
yeah, that was cute. Yeah, went to a friend's island and did the little trick or treating thing there.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I got all the items because I started getting duplicates.
Oh, yeah. That's always the thing.
Yeah, and then
It's always the worst when you start getting duplicates, but you know you haven't got all the items, and you're like,
Yeah.
you fucking...
Right? You're just
Yeah.
like, I want that
Well,
one.
everyone started giving me duplicates, and then they're just like, "Here, just take all these fucking pumpkins."
Just do
It's
it.
like, thanks, I guess. I'll just go and craft these.
Can you carve them?
No, you can craft with it. Well, I mean, it's kinda. You can make a pumpkin lantern
Ooh.
with
A jack-o'-lantern?
kinda, but it's not called that.
Is that
That's
trademark?
copyrighted.
I was saying, is that
Yeah.
trademark? Like,
Yeah,
not.
I don't know. It just says like scary lantern, but it's clearly a jack-o'-lantern.
too spoopy.
Yeah. I've been playing Hades and No Straight Roads.
Hades is good. No Straight Roads I haven't got to yet.
Hades is really good.
Yeah, it
There
is.
is a...
Well, all the Supergiant games are really good. Bastion... Actually, Pyre's not that great. But Bastion and Transistor are great.
So I played a little bit of
Transistor.
Transistor, but it didn't really stick to me.
Mm-hmm.
I like
But
it.
Come on,
yeah.
Cyberpunk, man! I thought that was your deal.
Me?
No, I'm
No,
talking
you're talking
about-
about me.
Oh, no, I love Transistor.
Everyone here likes
Yeah.
Cyberpunk. I just say that's like the whole thing. But anyways, yeah, no, Supergiant games always
Did you,
good, really good
Did you
music.
see that Harpy's Feather Duster reference in Hades?
No.
Yeah, that's
When is it?
I don't know. I just saw a
Oh.
clip from it in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Reddit.
Okay.
I don't know if it's timed or anything. I don't know anything about Hades. I was just like, oh, that's cool. They put
I mean,
it
Watch
on
that be
Yu-Gi-Oh!
the end of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the reference to the ending, and then
Just
John's
the
just
end.
like, "Did you know that Voldemort kills?" Anyways,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's pretty good. How was No Straight Roads?
The controls feel a little clunky,
Mm-hmm.
but
That's what I was worried about. That's why I
Yeah.
didn't jump to that game right away.
Yeah.
the platforming sucks.
Yeah.
Like there's levels with moving platforms, and yeah,
I know
it's
graphically it
pretty
looks a
bad.
little rough too.
Yeah.
Because that was the main thing. Because I've been following that game since it was a Kickstarter, and or some sort of crowdfunding. Actually, I don't even remember if it was Kickstarter. It was some sort of crowdfunding. But anyways, and so I've been watching it. But it's another one of those things like Remothered that I watched, where I was just like, "This is starting to look a little rough. I want to like it. I want to like it." But,
I mean, I do like how aesthetically it kind of reminds me of like those Tim Schafer games.
Right. Yeah,
Psychonauts.
and that's the thing. And that was
Yeah.
kind of the appeal at first. But yeah, it just looks a little rougher than I'd like.
Double Fine.
Yeah, so I'm playing it
That
on.
sounds very good.
Yeah, I'm playing it on Switch,
Mhm.
and so as I'm seeing it, I'm like, do the characters just look a bit splotchy because it's Switch,
Nope.
or is this
They
just
don't.
how it is?
That's
So,
how PS4 looks, also. So.
yeah, so
Oof.
but the music's really good.
Yeah. Hades has
Yeah,
very good music
it's
too.
actually, yeah, I'm actually gonna be snagging the vinyl soundtrack for that.
Noise.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, otherwise it's all right. But
I could be like John's friends and say that you have to play Bastion and Transistor first before you can play Hades because it's all the same studio.
God damn it!
I mean,
Yeah. I like the Witcher.
Those are good games,
Cool.
though. To be fair, those
The
are
Witcher-
both fucking
The
9
Witcher's
out
a
of
great
10.
game.
yeah,
If
but
I'm being
those are
100%
both 9 out of
transparent,
10 games, I
I don't
know.
give a fuck about The Witcher. I'm
I
sorry,
know,
everybody.
exactly. That was the joke, because
Well,
it's stupid when people say that.
fuck gatekeeping assholes like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, did that. Let's see, trying to think if I'm watching anything. Started watching an anime called Higurashi no Nakukoro ni.
Good pronunciation, right?
I want to say Vincent tried showing it to us one time.
Probably.
Who?
Because there was a scene, and I was like,
Cancelled.
this looks super familiar. But
Redacted
Yeah, it's
is
weird.
trying to show us. No, but I'm gonna bleep it out later.
You can bleep it out.
No,
Yeah,
I'm just joking. It doesn't matter. He used to be part of this. Well, not this, but
not this.
Was
Okay.
he ever?
Yeah.
No, I don't think he ever was.
No,
He's
Not
part of
this.
the Wild Darkness.
not of this,
Yeah, he
but
was.
in regards to the whole
YouTube. My whole endeavors over the last
Yeah.
20 years.
I know.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He was there. But yep. So is that any good?
It's interesting. It's more of what the fuck's going on. So
I always find it funny, not like you in particular, but it's always it's always telling, right? When you ask someone if something's good and they don't say yes, they go, "It's interesting." And to me, that's like the equivalent of like, "Hey, is your friend really cool?" He's a bit of a character. Like I feel like it's the equivalent of that, where you want to say it's not that it's dog shit,
It's a buffer.
but it's not good either. But you don't want to shit talk it because you're trying to be fair. That just sounds funny because it's never been. Whenever anyone has told me it's fine, I play it and I go, "This is the fucking worst game of the year." No, but anyways, what's the premise per se to give everyone a synopsis real quick?
well, apparently it's see, that's the weird thing. So it's tagged with like psychological horror aspects,
Which would explain why Vincent likes it.
probably.
Because
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
like
man.
favorite thing.
Yeah, but
But it's not really.
It starts off with the scene of like this kid just like beating two girls to death, and then it just cuts to when he moves into this area, then meets said girls and befriends them, and shit goes on. People start acting crazy. Feels like everybody's gaslighting each other. So
The fuck?
yeah, that's why I was like,
That's
yeah, like what the fuck's going on? Yeah, and then so after that kind of arc ends, then the next episode, everybody's alive and still hanging out with each other. So I'm kind of wondering if it's a thing where they just kind of show little snippets of things going on, and I guess in the end, maybe everything ties together.
Like a Tarantino film.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Kind of, but not really.
But it's worrisome though, because the problem with that is like sometimes things like that try to go that approach, and then at the end it doesn't
Doesn't
resolve
make
anything.
sense,
It
yeah.
doesn't explain anything.
Mhm.
Sometimes it'll have stuff where people are dead and then alive, and
Yeah.
then nothing.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if you end up
Yeah.
finishing it, anyways.
Yeah.
Because I can't. I think between all of us, we probably started so many games and shows and never finished it that. It's definitely not a guarantee that that's going to reach the end there. But if you do,
Fair
let
enough.
us know if it's any good.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
And picked up a little bit of Pokemon slowly. To finally beat the 8th gym, yay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, I can't really think of anything else I've been
Mallory?
doing.
I worked a lot. Hung out with the kiddos for Halloween. We decorated cookies. I'm actually really good at decorating cookies, guys. Found that out. Yeah, my life has just been work, pretty much. So, haven't really done anything. Yeah. Watched King of the Hill. Yeah.
King of the Hill's always good. I just did the whole
Classic.
series
Yeah.
watch a few months ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's just always good.
oh, I'm sorry.
What's
I
up?
completely forgot something.
What?
That I started watching Mando.
Yeah, Mandalorian's very good.
That's right.
It was a good show.
It is good.
Yeah.
And the people that told
Highly
you
recommended.
that stuff before is, I don't fucking get what they're
Yeah.
saying.
It's so good.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
good.
People tried telling you to not watch it, or what?
No, they said that it's a non-concise narrative, that it just kind of Mando and Baby are doing things. Also, I totally get the Baby Yoda appeal now. It's like that Chelsea Peretti meme. for,
Yeah, it's one of those things where
Brooklyn
it's kind of funny that they call it Baby Yoda because it's not really.
He's not. His name is a
Yoda.
child.
Yeah.
But people just didn't know at the time what the fuck to call it.
Yeah.
The child sounds kind of stupid though. The child sounds like some generic knockoff toy that it'll have. Oh, it's
Alex
the like it'll have like
Oh,
fucking Brock Lesnar bootleg toy in Mexico, and it's like
Yeah.
the wrestler, and it's like okay, but that's Brock Lesnar.
The Brock
obviously.
Lesnar.
But it's like that. It's like the child just
spider
sounds so
guy.
generic. But
Yeah.
so I do get why people call it Baby Yoda because is it ever clear what that race is called?
No,
I don't
in
think
fact,
I've
Yoda's
ever-
has no Yoda's,
Just ambiguous,
Yoda's
right?
species has no defined.
Because I used to,
term.
I've owned a lot of Star Wars lore books that explain like a lot of things. It's crazy. It's like that blue elephant race in the fucking Weird Council's called, and I'm just like, oh, okay,
No, I,
never knew
Didn't
that.
know that.
I actually looked it up. Yoda's apparently because I thought that Family Guy thing where Parsegian was actually his last name. That's a reference to some like real world person. His Yoda might actually be his last name. Minch might actually be his first name, but I think it's set up like how
How he
I guess
talks.
China does it. You know, where the surname, the
Asian
family name comes
countries,
first. Yeah. But apparently Yoda has no defined species.
Watch it be like Dragon Ball, where they're just Yoda's race.
Right.
Yeah, it could be that, or later on in some Star Wars shit, they're going to introduce a whole planet of them. It could be like a flashback thing or whatever.
Well,
Just
maybe
be like,
Mando, because isn't that what he's trying to do? That's his mission statement.
could be.
Yeah.
Maybe it could even be in Mandalorian. Well, at least if it was going to be in Mandalorian, we'd know they'd probably handle it better than the movies. So there's that. That's the thing. That's why when you were telling me, well, now you were telling me directly, but I saw your post. Oh no, did you tell me directly, or was it the post that I read?
Post.
Okay,
Yeah,
then I
it's
talked to you, right? Oh, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Yeah. So it's like when I read that, I was just like, what?
See, I saw it from a few people, that's why, but I saw it from this one trusted streamer that I'm not going to name. But their opinion is usually pretty, And I'm like, okay, well, I decided, fuck it, I'll check it out. I have time, right?
They said this while they were playing Mass Effect 3 and being like, this is great.
This is the best Mass Effect.
Best.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know if people really have bad taste or if they just like to be contrarian. Because I remember I was telling them earlier, I was talking to someone on Discord and they were just like saying that Bioshock Infinite's good and Mass Effect 3 is good. I'm like, are you purposely saying these bad games are good? Are you going to say Assassin's Creed Unity is good? Because they like to go there and they like to fly. Like sometimes I'll be giving like a whole analytical breakdown of why a game is objectively bad and it's like covers every facet and breaks it down and they're just like, well, I liked it, and I'm just like,
okay.
That doesn't make it good, though.
Yeah,
it's like I was telling John earlier, Justice League is not good, but you can like it.
I love
and that's
Justice
the
League,
thing.
but I know why it sucks.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where but I'm just like, but then they'll just come to the defense of, well, I liked it, I felt that the story was great, and the characters, I was like, but that's the problem, though, the characters were bad. I just explained why the characters were bad, the story's weak and broken and unfinished, literally.
Like you can still like it and it still be bad.
Yeah, but don't say it's good.
Yeah.
And that's
Don't
the thing.
try to
I was just
defend
like,
that point.
and they like to come to the defense whenever I'll be like fucking analyzing a game and being like, oh, here's I didn't this part's weak. They leave this plot hole open, blah blah blah. And they're just like, I thought that was cool how they leave the plot hole. They don't actually say that fact. They don't literally say that, but they're basically be like, I thought the story was nice and complete. And I'm like, I just explained why it wasn't complete. They don't ever talk what happened to this person that gets murdered in the beginning.
Yeah,
that's important. No.
Like I love a lot of bad movies, but
you're allowed to like some sort of hot garbage. Yeah. Everybody does.
I'm never.
Nobody likes everything good.
It's the best ever.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be like me being like, yeah, Snakes on a Plane should have won 1,000 fucking Academy Awards. No, but I liked it.
I actually know someone that's an ornithologist, and I saw Snakes on a Plane, and he came into work the other day. I'm like, hey man, what'd you think of this? He's like, don't fucking get me started on that movie. He said it's not bad, it's just wrong.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem with knowing too much about something. I've watched.
He was naming.
If you watch any movie where someone uses a gun and there's someone in there that actually knows how to use a gun, it's always wrong.
Oh yeah,
it's always wrong. Every single movie on Earth, whether it's Die Hard, where it's something good, or Terminator: Dark Fate, where it's something bad. It's like they always use the guns wrong in there because there's usually no consultant or no one that's trained on how to actually. But so they're always cocking it stupid or fucking holding it sideways or something like that, where you blow your fucking hand back.
Fucking Sarah Connor one-arming the shotgun.
Yeah, like that. And for fuck's sake, fucking even Laura Croft using two fucking Golden Eagle 45s on her fucking hand, she would fucking blow her arms off. So it's one of those things where it's like it always sucks. Like me, it's Cars. Every time I watch a movie and there's just like, oh, it was one of the Fast and the Furious, and like a Charger was just destroying this other car that was way faster than it, and I was just like,
no, but America.
Yeah, I was like, how is this possible? This isn't even a thing. But anyway,
didn't they do that shit in Drive?
Yeah, Drive. Oh yeah, that's another one where they totally it doesn't make sense. Well, it was a Mustang versus a.
Wasn't it a? Like a fucking Chrysler 300.
Yeah, something. Oh yeah. Thank you.
Some stupid ass
it was some
car.
bullshit where the Chrysler 300 would have fucking got hella outperformed, but for some reason it was keeping up, and I was just like, I know someone's going to be like, well, the car could have been. They did not clarify that the car was modded. According to the narrative and with the implications, it looks like it was a stock car.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not a fucking Ricer.
I was going to say that's why I love John Wick, because they actually have a consultant on that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Even though half the shit in there doesn't make any sense.
No, it's so...
John Wick is
like consulted to stupidity. I love them. Let me be clear. I love the John Wick movies. I love the John Wick movies, but none of it fucking makes sense. Keanu may have training in how to hold a gun and shoot one, but the mechanics of the guns are totally ignored in that entire film.
Yeah.
Just because you have a silencer on, I think people tend to understand what the fucking how silencer works. It's still loud as fuck. It makes it quieter. You cannot walk around in a mall blind firing at someone on the second floor and not hit anyone.
That was so bad.
That's literally impossible. In fact, that's going to be our next experiment. No joking. Anything else?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to detract. I just wanted to point out that
That's fine. No, have you remembered something you did? You remember something
How
you
was
did?
your week?
It was pretty good. I haven't watched AEW pay-per-view, so I can't say for sure. Right?
Oh, okay.
But we'll see how that ends up going. I didn't hear anything too terrible, except that apparently Jericho is just... God damn it. Jericho's just being Jericho, but you know how it is. Recently bought a VR headset, so that was really cool. That's been fun getting into that. I mean, it's $300, so it's not the cheapest, but I would definitely say if you're considering it, I can say that if you have a decent enough computer to get full access to the whole library, and then of course, you know, being able to play it standalone as well, which was the disadvantage of headsets in the past, it'd be worth it. $300, so it's $100 cheaper than the old model for the base one, so they actually took money off instead of making it more expensive. PlayStation, Xbox can maybe learn from that. And then the upgraded model is nice because instead of 128, you get 256 memory, so they upped everything on both sides. The higher model stayed the same price, if I recall correctly, but doubled the storage, and then the entry model got cheaper and stayed the same. Well, with the exception of the specs getting better, but storage-wise. Yep. So that shit was pretty good. Then I got like VR sickness earlier just because of the game. Not earlier when you guys were here, but earlier because like if you play that too much, it really does start fucking with your perception. It's like it's so realistic, but you got to get used to like, oh, my arms or I move really fast. That's a little sickening. Blah blah. Whenever something's kind of breaking reality, you can only take that for so long before you do. So it's always advised that you take a break from that. But so that was on the good. On the bad,
I've played on my sister's, and it's a lot of fun. But I cannot.
Does she have VR? I mean, PSVR or Oculus?
No, she has
or
Oculus.
Oculus. Okay, that's the one I have also.
I think it's the Rift.
The Rift, though, yeah. So the cool thing with the Quest is if you plug it into your computer, it becomes a Rift. But you can also play it by itself.
She has one of those that has like all the sensors and stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, I cannot play Borderlands on that.
Nah, Borderlands is a bad game to play on there because it's way too. The graphics do not look good in VR, and then on top of that, the style of moving around that much is very bad.
So noisy, like visually noisy.
Cool ambition, not a good idea.
You can actually see
because a lot of VR games you play, if you look at the motions, it's not your standard, left and right stick motion and looking around. Your looking around is obviously done with your actual face, and then the movement's usually done in blocks, so you're actually going to be walking like almost like on a tactical like game or something, like you're playing tactics or whatever. You're pretty much moving a block at a time, so that way you don't get sick from the motion of perpetually moving forward really fast and everything. So they do have to change stuff a bit. That took a while to get used to in Skyrim because the movement, I'm used to just go forward, but in this case I have to be like, all right, a little bit of time going up to this guy. It makes it still it's a little bit harder because of that, but But anyways, that was on the good. On the bad, Raw still sucks, so there's that. It's just because they just say stupid shit. Like, Brian, it's like they're trying to prove Cornette and Last correct on the podcast. No, right? I haven't seen them lately, thank God. But they're on SmackDown now. But it's just awkward because Randy Orton had this promo that he cut, and he was just like, talked about how he's going to RKO the former champ because he took the belt from him, and he wants to get his rematch. And he's like, don't worry, it's not going to matter because I'm just going to RKO him. And then Byron Saxton goes, what's he gonna do? And I'm like, he just said what he was gonna, he literally said the exact move he was gonna do. How are you gonna say, what's he gonna do, after he literally just said, what's he gonna do?
But why male models?
It's weird, I don't know, that shit's so bad.
One pop.
Hey.
The other funny thing was on fucking the podcast, they were talking about Jericho supporting Trump and, of course, being a COVID man. So, we talked about the concert that Jericho hosted that had Smash Mouth, and then a bunch of people got COVID from that, obviously. And then apparently, we don't know if he hosted the party, but he was definitely highly involved in the party. He had a Halloween party, which apparently a bunch of people are probably going to get COVID from, because some shitty, like, right-wingers were there, too, and doing some, like, election shenanigans and talking and stuff like that. And I kept laughing because Ryan Last was asking Cornette about it, like, what do you think about Jericho, but just not giving a shit about COVID and being stupid, like a truther. And he goes, like, fucking Jerichovid, which is what he always calls him, which is so fucking funny. And then he called him the COVID god instead of the demo god, and just the way he was just going on about it. And then he just get a little bit of the COVID instead of a little bit of the bubbly, and I just kept laughing. Just the way he mocks Jericho is so funny. Jericho really hates him, but I mean, you set yourself up for that shit.
Exactly.
Then he was, of course, he did talk about, on a more somber note, being disappointed in The Undertaker, of course, supporting Trump. He said it was really sad because he was just like, Undertaker's like a fucking blue-collar, hard-working, grown boy who's never been handed anything in his life and fucking worked hard for what he has, but now he's just become one of these rich people. And he goes, that sucks. He goes, like, I have money, and I fucking hate Trump, so he goes, obviously not everyone who's rich gives a shit about being a Republican or being right-wing. He goes, so you can still have a brain and have money. He goes, it's just sad that a lot of people like Taker can be a good person at first, and he may not really hate whatever, but by supporting Trump, you still are supporting the agenda. Yeah. So it's one of those things where he did explain that it is a bit sad with that. He goes, like, you know, how long he's known Taker, he would have never guessed that he would be that foolish to fall for, you know, my Texas or whatever the fuck he's supporting me for.
Yeah. Does Stone Cold support Trump?
No, Stone Cold is actually a fucking liberal.
Good deal.
Yeah. He supports gay marriage. He supports, you know, fucking Black Lives Matter. So Stone Cold's actually a good guy. You would assume because of his gimmick and everything, the bionic redneck, that he fucking is a racist and all this shit. But no, he's not. Stone Cold's I mean, I'm sure there's something. Everyone does something bad. Yeah. Everyone has a fucking quirk. Nobody's a perfect person. But thankfully, in terms of like political open agenda, Stone Cold is definitely not a Trump supporter.
All right, my number one.
Yep, so he's good. And The Rock is obviously very good. The Rock did big donations towards, you know, Biden and Kamala Harris's campaign, so Rock is obviously away from Trump as well, so there's that. And then
so is the rest of the country.
Right. And then we played Streets of Red before the cast, so that was a lot of fun.
Super fun.
It's basically a side-scrolling beat-em-up with upgrading RPG elements. However, if you run out of... there's technically no continues unless you buy that token item.
Soul token?
Once you fucking die in that game, it is a permanent game over, and you have to start all over again. So
it's actually a little difficult. But
it's pretty... Yeah, it does get pretty difficult. And then, of course, we got to the Jim Sterling boss, which is fucking great. The fact that Jim Sterling's even fucking... The fact that there's even fucking Jim Sterling in the game is hilarious, so that was funny fighting him.
It was nice.
He wasn't too broken, so at least there's that. But, yep. Other than that, that's pretty much it. You know, I tried to get as much gaming and stuff in. Vacation went by too fast.
Yeah.
We skipped last week, but then the week before that, we did an episode, even though I was going to be on vacation after we recorded it. So this is obviously, 2 weeks technically now since the last episode, which is so crazy to think time flies by that fast.
I know.
But other than that, the vacation was good, just way too fast. It just does not... Time is really weird like that. It just makes no sense that I had 10 days to do fuck all, and just... It's gone. Yet if you have to work 10 days in a row... That's fucking bullshit. I just don't get how time works like that.
Yeah.
It just really does not seem fucking parallel to each other.
That's because you're enjoying your time.
Exactly, yeah.
So.
Which was a lot of fun. I got to see my folks for the first time in ages, so that was nice. And then,
Did you tell your mom I said hi?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was happy. But, yeah, and then other than that, what do you call it? Watch Gemini Man.
How was that?
I mean...
It's about
as interesting as you can imagine Will Smith fighting himself is. It had a few moments. It's a little funny. It had the Asian dude from Doctor Strange as one of the main characters. The chick I've never seen before. I'm sure she might be somebody, or she could just be her debut actor. Major acting baby.
Is it better than Bright?
I don't know who that is, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh,
the Netflix.
Oh! No. Oh, is it better than Bright?
Yeah.
Oh!
D&D cops.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it depends. The concept of Bright is cool.
Yeah, but I feel
but it's a shame that it's not that good.
Was...
The problem that Bright ran into is they're trying to be way too edgy. That was the biggest issue. Like, they were trying to be too... Hey, guys! The orcs are like black people!
Oof.
Check this out! Like, it was way too fucking ham-fisted. It was like Detroit Become Human, where fucking David Cage is trying to be like, oh, you know, it is not a political commentary. The androids had to sit at the back of the bus. And I'm just like... So you are literally equating these fictional robots with black people. Great. There's a fucking part where you're walking around and you basically might as well say, I have a dream with a big robot fist in the air. So it's like, David, are you really just trying to say...
I feel like there's something else you're trying to
say. I feel like
you're
trying to say something, David, but you don't want to own up to it. Yeah. It's one thing to like, hey, if that's what you want to say it.
Right.
But, you know, Ubisoft does this a lot too, obviously, where they like to say, it's not political. Then they put out The Division, which is about gun control.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, it's not political. Then they put out Watch Dogs, which is about fucking, you know, being surveillanced and fucking having technology, Big Brother, exactly. So it's like, you know, just because you say it's not so, hey guys, this isn't racist, and you like say something extremely racist after, does not give you a free pass just because you said, it's not though. It's not though, guys. But yeah. Other than that, yeah, no, it was fun playing those games. We're going to eventually start a Minecraft world, which is going to be fun. So that'll be cool. We'll figure out the crossplay thing, because if it's easier to do, but I think you do need that stupid pass, which I do not want to pay for. I'd rather meet up and just do split screen, honestly, at that point. Or you could bring your Switch and then we can do split screen.
You guys can do
or John can buy a Switch and then we can finally all have one. But then we can play Killer Queen Black
games we need to play
without getting kicked out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Smash? You want to play Smash?
Where can everybody find you on the internet, Miss Mallory?
You can find me on Instagram at awesome_Mally.
Mr. Jesh?
At Yoshiro Joestar for Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. YouTube, ShiroPlay5.
And then Johnny?
Gyarados Ekis.
There you go. And you can find all my stuff at ZDRocker at all the places, SlimAsianEntertainment.com and DisconnectedCast.com. Over the last week, we're going to catch up on some news. It was a slow week last week anyway, so didn't miss too much. One interesting thing, though, is Nintendo had their final partner direct of the year. Okay. So, obviously, that's the non-first party stuff, for those who don't know what the fuck partner means. And so, they did show a couple of interesting games that I was hyped about, but very concerned about the conditions you need. And that was Hitman 3 and Control. Control, one of the best games, if not the best game of 2019, even though I didn't give it that trophy. It is really good. But yeah, I mean, given if I could revive my list, I'd probably put it in like the top 3 at least.
Okay.
But anyways, or I'd probably remove Deadly Premonition, because that's not really fair that I put Deadly Premonition number 1, because that game already came out in 2013. But anyways, yeah, probably, I could put
do whatever you want with it.
I could put Control at number 1. It's a contender for it. But they're all going to run on cloud. So you're talking about how good is your internet. Well, I can now say, because I tried Control, because you do get a demo to at least try before you buy it, thankfully. Yeah. First of all, it's $40, so not bad. You get all the content, as opposed to PlayStation and Xbox users where you have to rebuy the new edition to get forwards compatibility, or backwards compatibility, rather. And then, if not, your other game's just fucked and stuck on the last gen, because that's awesome. So that's probably one of the shittier things the studio did. But whatever, 505 Games has had their problems sometimes. But anyways, but yeah, it ran fine. But my concern is we have Google Fiber, which is the best internet in Texas and probably in the U.S., period.
Yeah.
If that is struggling to run it at its full capacity... We, when everyone else isn't fucking on the, because I did a speed test last night. When I'm the only one on and everyone is off, so you gotta understand that that's not going to be the case. That's called ideal situations. Even if nobody's using shit, we're talking about 50 megabyte per second download speed, which is pretty fast. Even that was what I needed to run. The second, if Josh, is downloading something, or if they watch Netflix downstairs, or both of that happens at the same time, that shit drops to 480p almost immediately. So it'll still run, but it's one of those things where to enjoy it, you pretty much have to live by yourself, have Google Fiber, and have nothing else running at the same time. Which is the concern we've seen with Stadia, with anything else, with PlayStation Now especially, that runs like such trash if you don't have perfect internet conditions. So it's one of those things where, even if in the fucking Silicon Valley, as well as where we have fucking fiber optic internet, and we're having troubles, anyone else with anything like cable or lower is going to be really fucked. So it's just showing once again that cloud gaming is cool in a perfect world. Yeah. Or if you live in Korea and Japan where they have mega internet, or even fucking Germany where they have fucking super internet. But other than that, it's one of those things where you need to live in one of those countries, because if you live in the States, cloud gaming is still not there, unfortunately, until we get our fucking infrastructure going. But aside that, I will say when it was running fine, it was because the graphical fidelity, everything is better because it's not running off the Switch's hardware completely. It's streaming it. There wasn't too much input lag where I felt like I was pressing X and then it was delayed. I mean, I'm sure if I really paid attention, I'll notice the 0.3 second delay. But thankfully, it wasn't that bad. Okay. There's only a couple of times where the screen broke up a little bit, and that's where it's kind of aware that you're, again, that's when, when multiple people are using the same connection, you'll notice the break up a little bit. And, of course, at that point, it takes you out of the game a bit where you're kind of like, oh, shit, that's right, I'm just streaming the game, I'm not actually playing it on here. But when it is running, it's very impressive how it looks like the PS4 version on such a tiny screen. Especially the tiny screen does help it also look better. But yeah, no, the graphical fidelity is definitely higher. If you are running it on a stronger computer, and god fucking bumfuck wherever the fuck they keep their servers, it's possible then. You are playing it remotely. But it is really cool. I think xCloud is probably one of the best working ones out of all the the game streaming I've tried. xCloud's probably the best one. It's up there, especially with Game Pass. I mean, the fuck, it's included in that, and then on top of that, you also get to use it because they're smart. Mass Effect Remastered Trilogy. I mean, realistically, we all had a good time with 1 and 2. Obviously, our experiences with 3 are probably different or the same, whatever. But what I will say is,
I've never played
It's bad.
No, any
with it
any
being
of them?
any of them. The first two are good.
Yeah,
Okay,
first two are
This
good.
is
Now
I've
they
been
are
waiting
just
for,
remasters. They aren't going to be full remakes. They're so all the weird, quirky mechanics are there. For example, Mass Effect 1 will look good, but feels clunky as fuck.
Like Bioshock 1?
Mass Effect 3 is still bad, huh?
Like Bioshock 1, like almost...
Yeah, exactly.
controls?
It's where it's very aged, unfortunately.
That's fine.
But no, it's not fine for Mass Effect. It does feel pretty bad. Mass Effect 1 is a great game, but it feels stiff.
Yeah.
It feels stiff when you're walking around now in fucking
Wait,
2020.
like as bad as KOTOR?
I haven't played KOTOR long enough to be
'Cause,
able
like,
to fairly say.
No joke, I was playing KOTOR and versus Bioshock 1. KOTOR's not that bad.
Okay, I would believe it.
It's stiff, but...
The
like, compared to-
BioWare in the KOTOR days versus BioWare in the Mass Effect days was definitely a lot more competent. Not to say, again, anything towards to demerit Mass Effect 1 and 2. They're both fantastic games.
Plus, like, the UI and...
Yeah,
Mass
everything
Effect
just kind of
1
aged
is-
poorly.
Yeah.
So they did even say in their statement when they announced this, we are just upping the graphics a bit. It's the
Vaseline
same,
filter
yeah,
everywhere.
exactly. It's the same fucking games. The textures are replaced, the HDR is added, but it feels the same. They obviously they had to say that because they're just like, hey, dumbasses, you seem to not understand what the difference between a remaster and a remake is, because I hear so many people being like, they already remade Final Fantasy VIII, and I go, no, they didn't. They've never remade Final Fantasy VIII. They remastered it, you fucking piece of shit. But anyways, but yeah,
one
I mean,
guy.
I'd be remiss to say, huh?
No.
Oh, I thought you were trying to get up.
No.
I'd be remiss to say I'm super excited for it. It's fine. I'm happy for all the Mass Effect marks or people who've never played it. This is the opposite. This is the perfect opportunity to do so. However, I can honestly say, even if I buy it, so if I see it for like $30 somewhere and I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll pick it up, I'm probably not going to play through any of them. I'm not going to play through the whole fucking series anytime soon. They already did it wasn't a remaster, but they did the trilogy on PS3. Yeah. So I don't know if they did it on Xbox 360 also, but
They did.
I know on PS3 you have all of it on one collection. So you can
So-
Yeah,
do
because
that.
for the longest time, you
How-
couldn't even play the first game on PS3.
Yep, exactly. So that was the way they released it.
It's
on the final
Xbox?
day. I don't know.
Mass Effect 1?
Originally was an Xbox
Oh,
exclusive.
shit.
Okay.
And then with Mass Effect
Fucking
2,
hell.
that was around the era when EA picked them up.
Yeah.
So gameplay changed drastically.
Yeah.
And then they
For the
put
I hate when
Better.
studios do that. It's the whole stick of truth to Fractured But Whole
Yeah.
all over again. Like,
So
stick
not
of
for the
Obsidian
better.
has the first one, and everything's
well, if we're talking about Mass Effect,
No,
we'll
we're talking-
go on and then I'll
yeah.
address his point.
But yeah, that's the problem when you switch studios, because like for some reason some publishers think they can just imitate what the studio did already, and then they
Because as soon
can't.
as you said
Cough
that,
343.
I
Yeah.
was upset,
Yeah,
and I
I
don't
know.
want to play.
Yeah, same. It's bad.
The
Yeah.
other one, like I'll stick with Stick of Truth.
Yeah, so in regards to the gameplay, the first Mass Effect game, granted the fact that it's a third-person shooter, it still feels like an RPG game when you're
Okay.
playing it. Mass Effect 2, they said, no, they're like, we're going to make it a bit more action-oriented, so some of the abilities, they just don't feel as great like they did in Mass Effect 1.
Okay.
Of course, they do a lot more... Actually, I think you could still kind of do like the Gears of War
Yeah, you could.
in the first game, as clunky as that was.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could. It just felt bad.
Yeah, it was a little bit smoother in
Me
Mass
too.
Effect 2. Then I think they also added the active reload
They
bullshit.
did.
Yeah.
So,
Click
Like
L-
in Gears?
yeah.
click the right bumper.
Yeah, so
Oh,
with Mass Effect
yeah.
2, they're just like, hey, this Gears game's kind of hot. Why don't you try to make it a little bit like
People
that?
like that game.
Yeah, and then Mass Effect 3, they're like, let's add some QTEs to it, too.
No.
And they also said, let's not have an ending. And then they
Yeah.
also said, let's
Yeah,
fuck
the
up
ending
the
was
narrative.
Patch in
Yeah,
ending.
the ending was pretty bad. And, like, Mass Effect 3, I would say my main gripes with it is the story falls flat, and I hope they fix this with the remaster, because it was stupid when it initially came out. In order to get, like, the good ending,
Yeah.
you had to play multiplayer
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, which that contrarian person also said was good multiplayer. They actually regaled it as probably the best multiplayer that exists today.
Wrong.
And what was the multiplayer?
wrong.
It was a washed-down version of Gears of War Horde.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, which if it was like Gears of War Horde, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. Horde mode's fun.
Horde mode's
Yeah.
awesome.
Not
Unless your
in
friend
Mass
runs into a
Effect.
ditch and gets stuck, but that's
Yes.
one of those
So, how many hours am I looking to dedicate to 1 and 2?
probably
Probably quite a bit.
100.
Yeah, that
Minimum?
seems fair.
Mhm.
Assuming you don't do too
Yeah,
much.
we don't do too much side quests.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if you're gonna just play the game.
No, I'm all about
A couple of side quests getting hooked, a couple pulling you by the collar, but if you were just to
Yeah.
try to play the main game, then do like 20% of the side quest, you probably play like 100 hours between the two.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 2 had the right formula, because no offense to 1, I love RPGs, but it didn't age well and it feels slow. So I think that the 2 making it a little more actiony, but not completely removing the RPG elements was a good move.
Yeah.
And then 3, they were just like, shoot bangs! No one cares anymore about RPGs. RPGs are dead. So it's like...
So it's like Dead Space, kind of? Like
Dead Space had the same fucking... Yeah, they had the same progression. It was like true survival horror.
Great.
Dead Space 1. Dead Space 2, more action shoot bangs, but still survival horror. 3, when I played that shit co-op with my friend Farah, oh my god, it was like just a shooter bang game. Like, it wasn't even scary because you could just have like 3 million ammo and just fucking kill everybody. It was like, okay.
Fun, but not
scary.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, 3 was definitely let down because with the first 2 games, I had maybe... I was doing like 3 or 4 playthroughs. And then Mass Effect 3, I was like, man, I'm gonna beat my first playthrough, then I'm gonna go through like my second and third. Nope. Finished it once, didn't really touch it again.
Barely finished it for me. Like, I didn't even want to, really.
They even patched the ending, and I didn't bother to go and revisit it.
Well, spoiler alert, it's still not that great. Unfortunately, it doesn't really fix the game, because it's still not... Yeah. Even if that had been the plugged-in ending, I would still say Mass Effect 3 is dog shit.
Yeah.
Absolute dog shit, 1 out of 10. So, that's Mass Effect 3. But yeah, you know, I mean, I'd probably play Roblox. I put Roblox and Fortnite, about that high. Mass Effect 3. But yeah. Alright, Assassin's Creed's doing a live action show on Netflix. Who gives a fuck? Sega is getting out of the arcade game for the most part because COVID and arcades not being open in Japan. They're not the only ones. In fact, Akihabara entirely shut down, so that whole arcade district's completely dead. And Sega has sold 85.1% of their arcade shares to a Chinese company. Yeah. So that's going to now be managed by China. No, it's a different one.
It's not Tencent.
But yeah, so now they're going to be giving the arcade department to China, basically. Be like, hey, look, China, you do whatever the fuck you want. Now, the company that absorbed it did say they're still going to call it Sega. So even if they could, whether it's going to continue as an arcade or become some nail place or whatever, it's going to at least say Sega in the building. So good for you.
Keep the name.
Probably, honestly, I think the real reason is because it's just cheaper to do that than make a new sign. So let's just face it, that's just probably what it is.
Yeah.
But we'll see what they do. I would like to hope that China sees some way that they can revamp the arcade market. But since Japan, even though they had an outbreak, a resurge, a couple months ago, still treating COVID better than us by not going to arcades or bars or stupid shit. So yeah, I see why Sega got out of it. It's sad, but like a lot of fucking indie venues that have closed during COVID, it's just part of the fucking cycle right now. Apparently already there was as many PS5 pre-orders in the first 12 hours than there were PS4 pre-orders, period.
Jeez.
So the PS5 is looking to go booming, assuming they can keep up with the demand.
Nope.
Amazon has already told all their customers, they told them before pre-orders even launched, and they told them now in individual emails and messages. Customer service is reaching out to everybody who's pre-ordered a PS5 and Xbox. Just because you pre-ordered it and it comes out on the week of like the 12th and 13th or whatever, you may not get it until Christmas or January. Because they already said that this bullshit, it's up to Sony to keep the supply chain going. Sony has already said they're probably going to have problems. Xbox has also said they're probably going to not be able to keep up with the thing. They said that... Now, Xbox did say that they are keeping like a pocket amount to have ready to buy at stores on launch day. We'll see if PlayStation did the same technique, where it's like, yeah, some of you pre-ordered it, the rest of you can duke it out or whatever. So we'll see once those actually open up. If PlayStation did the same thing, that's fine. I think that that's fair because that gives people a chance who aren't like, I'm not going to fucking pre-order this bullshit. Oh, well, now it's out. I kind of have the money. Fuck it, I'll go. So it appeals to two markets because not everyone's a pre-order bitch.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Pre-orders suck. And so not everyone's that market like that.
I just don't get why people are scrambling for it. After
I have not seen... Yeah, exactly.
With every launch system.
Yeah. Hardware issues we've seen time and time again per generation, and then on top of that, lack of software. With the exception of Demon's Souls, which I'm not really like... It's if I wanted to play... Like, even if I had a PS5, there's probably like 7 games before I get to that I like have on high priority that I haven't even touched yet.
I don't even play my PS4. It's my streaming machine.
Yeah. And so with that being the case, I haven't seen enough launch software announced to like super be like, I gotta get one.
Yeah, exactly.
For example, if I didn't buy that Oculus, I could have pre-ordered a fucking PS4. So... kind of point. The Oculus is refined, and the fucking PS5 hasn't shown me anything yet. That is. Now, if Platinum drops their exclusive, which always isn't going to come out till like next year anyways, when that comes out, for sure I'm going to get in on that. But right now, I don't see a reason to run out.
It's the status symbol.
Yeah, the status symbol of being a moron and a Trump supporter. But yeah, so there's that. Oh yeah, Cyberpunk delayed again. That happened on our week off.
Yeah. I'm personally maligned by that.
It's funny, ArcSys Works, who does Guilty Gear and a few other fighting games, put out a mock notice where it was the same exact format, and then it basically said some shit like, "Oh, I wanted to make a yellow memo" or some shit like that, and it's the same thing with ArcSys logos, and then it was like,
Eventually, they took it down though.
Yeah, because they got fucked.
Yeah, they were like, "Yeah, it was probably in bad."
It's not professional, even though that page manager needs to be promoted to owner at that point. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, it sucks though. But yeah, I mean, it's delayed again. I mean, at this point, who the fuck is surprised?
It's only delayed like 21 more days, right? Or did
December 10th?
Okay,
yeah. Allegedly. But that game was supposed to come out November of 2019. Let's all remember the original Cyberpunk release date when you watch the original trailer. Yep. November 2019. So now it's December 10, 2020, and we'll see if that even happens. The worst part about this, I think Jim Sterling's video, Cyberpunk should be delayed 3 years, is a very apropos thing, because if they did it on an actual proper workload, that would be the case. They're crunching people, and it's still getting delayed this much. Yeah, that's the worst combination of the two. Now, of course, as he's pointed out in several videos, and other journalists have pointed out, at least the project people get paid overtime. Here in the States, you're not promised overtime, especially if you're a contractor that's on salary. Mm-hmm. If you get $60,000, you're on salary, so you're getting $60,000 until that contract gets done. So you better hurry the fuck up and fucking do that shit, because you're not going to get a cent more. At least these guys are getting overtime. Still inhumane, still sucks that they're voluntold to do it, but at least they're getting paid for it. Yeah. But yeah, it's still shitty that this is the case. The fact that they're going this hard in the production office and it's still not coming out on time, we'll see. If the game, I'm not saying this justifies all the crunch, but if the game at least comes out and it's fucking solid and not that glitchy, which they're still glitchy to this day, so that tells you a lot where this is probably going to go. Like when I rode Roach, I got on him and I launched into the sky. So that's in fucking 2020. So
what system?
Switch and PlayStation 4.
I mean, even on PC, it's pretty
buggy.
Yeah. It's buggy as fuck.
The game's just a buggy game, and CD Projekt makes great but buggy things. You could argue they're kind of like Bethesda, but not as shitty.
So does Bethesda. Yeah.
Exactly. Bethesda has that Bethesda jank. But Fallout 76 was that next level. If Cyberpunk is at least the typical Projekt broken, I would still be angry, because I'd be like, this was the polish?
Yeah.
This was the fucking delay for this? If you're delaying it over a year, which is now going to be over a year factually, they were trying to hit just a year. Now they've hit over a year. Yeah. It better be fucking clean, and you're not going to fall through the earth, and there better not be weird Andromeda glitch shit. So we'll see. But
I bet there's going to be at least 2 patches within the first 6 months.
There's going to be. There's going to be a day one patch like always.
They've already admitted there's going to be a day one patch, because they're pretty much saying shit like, oh, yeah, this is just stuff that, you know, to make the day one patch smoother and some bullshit like that.
It's gonna be if it's anything less than perfect, it's gonna be a nightmare. Yeah. It's not gonna justify all the bullshit. Destiny 2's latest event, because Destiny 2 still exists. I keep forgetting that, because for some reason fucking people play it.
I've actually been seeing quite a few people playing it recently.
Yeah, people have just been getting... That's Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 were kind of the same thing, where people are getting in and out of it as updates come out. Like, they'll drop the game for 6 months, then they'll drop an update, and they'll get on, play for like a week, and then be like, oh yeah, I forgot Destiny sucks. Yeah. So we'll see. But apparently you finally get to go into the last city. That shit you got to see over the horizon, you finally get to go in it. And apparently it looks really good, but who cares?
What are you going to do?
Exactly. I don't know what you're going to do in it, but even if you can do stuff, it's kind of like, really, that's your big pull? You got to go to you finally pulled back the curtain, the thing that has been like, since you were in the hub in Destiny 1 being like, oh, look, there's the last city. Yeah. You're never going to go there. Yeah. So you make people wait all, like fucking 4 years, to fucking 5 years
sit on the moon for a while.
To finally see.
God, it's been so long.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, right?
Yeah.
We got to see that shit transition from PS3 to PS4. Just to give you an idea of Destiny 1.
I remember launch night playing that shit on PS3.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie, that shit was fun.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It just ran out of content too fast. The problem with the Destiny games is they're not like objectively horrible games. The problem is they made the same mistake twice. Destiny 1 launched barren, typical, not like you guys have fucking made, I don't know, Halo, but you made this mistake, and it's your like fucking 7th game, but whatever. Let's give you the pass and say it's your first MMO, as if that's a fucking excuse for a studio, right? So you get that, and it's barren. You make that mistake. You fix it with Taken King. It's like, okay, whatever. Then you do Destiny 2. It's barren at the beginning. They still haven't even had their Taken King.
It's way more barren.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's just like, how did you fucking repeat the same mistake? How the fuck did you do this? Like, that's the thing that pisses me off. And they're a AAA studio. It's not like they're an indie studio that has like fucking, a plastic fork and $20. Like, this is fucking... First they had Activision's backing, and then Activision was even like, fuck this money pit. And then now they're independent, but they're still fucking Bungie. So they're a huge studio. So I just don't understand how the fuck that's a thing. It's just really annoying.
It just really sucked how, like, in Destiny 1, you had all those raids to choose from. Now I'm talking about towards the end of its life.
Right, of course.
And then, when was Iron Banner? Like, weekly? Or monthly?
Weekly.
Yeah. So you had that to look forward to.
Which was fun.
And then
Sparrow Racing.
Oh, yeah, Sparrow Racing was
that was
legit.
Cool.
And then Destiny 2 comes out, and it's like, okay,
all that's gone.
Content. Oh, joy,
But
they're
why?
finally bringing Iron Banner back. You do it, and then you're like, wait, where did it go?
Yeah. It's gone for like a month.
Months even.
I would say that the mode I never got into was Trials of Osiris, just because me and my friends were too trash to do Trials. I didn't have any friends good enough to do Trials.
Was pretty tough.
Yeah,
I would have to have I would have to find people to carry my ass.
You need a squad for that.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. You need that, like, those guys that get on Destiny every night and fucking do every raid and then have all the fucking gear and everything.
Yeah. I had that on PlayStation.
But at least when you actually got Trials, at least they gave you some cool ass looking armor. I will give it that. Where they tried to make you really want to beat that and rewarded you were like, you see this shit? This is some trial shit. Like the fact that I'm wearing this and you're not, I earned this. Yeah, exactly.
I was very happy when I finally got the Jackal helmet.
Same.
Right?
One of the toughest games, like even my squad that I had at the time where we were like, okay, like we could knock off we could get like a win or two in the rounds and then just eventually get killed.
Yeah.
There was one where we fought this team that was so good. What they would do is the 3 would run in, 2 would jump off the sides of the earth immediately, and then the 1 person each would take turns taking out all 3 of us. Because they were that fucking good.
Nice.
So, player A, B and C jump. Next round, player B stays, A and C jump. And then the final one, C stays, A and B jump. And then they were just doing 1-on-3 every single time. And they were that fucking confident, and they were just fucking wrecking every single time. And we were like I said, we were at least getting some wins in Trials. And like, they were just fucking insane. I was just like, how are you that fucking good? We're just that confident. Like, we don't even need the other 2. It's not like we're gonna get a clutch and then be like, oh shit! I think 1 round my friend stole and killed like one, like maybe the second player or whatever, but then all they did was still win anyways.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's just like, even if you get lucky, they were so confident enough that they know that they can beat, because they didn't play against us before. Yeah. So they know that they're so good that they can beat, but they probably win all the time, where they're just like, well, maybe get a death or 2, but fuck it. Right, I talked about the Amazon warning their customers. I will say it's pretty good on Amazon to at least reach out. They don't have to. They could just be like, we already put out that blanket statement at the beginning. Fuck off. But the fact that they're individually emailing everybody, I mean, I'm sure it's a pretty fast message, but point being is they don't even need to do that because they literally already told everybody. So there's that. They did a few tests on Xbox versus PlayStation 5 because obviously those launch units have already been out in the, the world for people who do testing, influencers, etc. that have all had their PS5s already for a while now. And they have been running some extensive testing, and it does look like, on the front of backwards compatibility at least, we'll see when some actual titles come out for both consoles, but in backwards compatibility, Xbox absolutely shreds the PS5 in load times. Like, when you're running your Xbox One and PlayStation 4 games, backwards compatible, it, like, the PlayStation, despite the fact that it's supposed to be the super fast thing, is like just then loads. Xbox is just like, I'm sorry, did you say load screen? And then it's already fucking in the game, and so like that. So apparently the Xbox's processor speeds is fucking crazy. At least on the backwards compatibility test. Once an actual launch game's come, because that's all they can test right now, obviously, in pre release world. But once the actual things come out, we'll see if on the current gen spectrum, what's more important is who loads faster there. So we'll see, because both have promised a virtually loadless generation. So we'll see. They promised us 60 frames last time, and we still haven't got that. So hopefully they can at least get 60 frames. The load times, you know what? I'll wait a minute to load into my game if it fucking looks gorgeous and runs at 60 plus frames. Yeah. But if it looks like dog shit and I fucking wait 5 minutes to come into the game, fuck off. Like, actually get out of here.
Get out
But
of here.
we'll see. So it's interesting to see them test the processor speeds that way, and we'll see if that carries over to modern gaming.
Okay.
The other thing that's kind of like you really have to test apples and not apples and oranges, which is why I like stuff like Digital Foundry where they test very fairly, is you're going to have to run everything where, if the Xbox or PlayStation's running with something, so say the PlayStation only version has like some like ray tracing, let's say, that'll probably be more of an Xbox thing, and then the other version doesn't, that's not really a fair test because you're running this whole other light element that's taking a shitload of resources. So if the other one does load slower, it kind of has an excuse to because it looks better overall.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see the testing. Digital Foundry will likely start posting stuff like that, so I'll keep track of that and let y'all know. Apparently, there's been a podcast for so in Watch Dogs Legion's in-game broadcasts, for in-game podcasts rather, because Watch Dogs is always trying to be hip and we're modern. We know what podcasts are. PlayStation. Spider-Man on PlayStation did that a little bit better. Jonah Jameson being Alex Jones.
So great.
But yeah, apparently there is a British journalist called Helen Lewis who appears on those podcasts, and apparently she said a lot of insensitive gender identity opposing remarks in the past. So because people have kind of called out her inclusion in the game, they've said they're going to patch her out and just replace her with someone else.
Okay.
But it's one of those things where Ubisoft always
these
loves
terrible things.
fucking up. Yeah, Ubisoft loves fucking up. They're just like, Ubisoft loves to go, oops, we raped you. My bad. We're going to undo that. Oh, we can't? Legal problem. But if they could, they would. If they could, they would. They've kind of proven at this point, from the Black Lives Matter fest and everything else, they've kind of proven to this point that they're just shitty. Because just because you backpedal doesn't mean you have good intentions. All that means is everyone yelled too much. If no one said anything on Twitter or wherever, they probably would have left it in there. Because they're not going to realize it. They'll be like, she said disparaging remarks about gender identity in the past, who cares? But now because everyone calls them out, they're just like, oh, no, my bad. It's just like, no, it's not your bad. It is your bad. But it's like one of those things where it's not, you don't really care. You don't really care. You're just fixing. So at this point, with how many fucking Legions already had, like, my interest was already waning. When, I think the surprise of the multiple unlimited NPCs being all basically like 12 of the same Joe Schmoes or less is not that surprising. I don't know why so many people were just like, it's not really individuals. They're just like, it's just basically like, 10 archetypes. And I just, no shit. How are they going to do like the whole, if you're walking around and there's even 20 people in the street, how are you going to make each of them an individual character in the game?
It's pretty much going to be like a gotcha, like, this is the same unit, but it has
a triple
stats.
S and it has shades.
Yeah, just different stats.
It has a baseball cap.
But I swear, it's like somebody at Ubisoft is just, it's almost like it's intentional. Like,
almost.
Let's see if somebody will actually notice this.
Right? Like,
almost.
they're just trying to
if they saw it.
Okay.
Oh, we put Alex Jones in our game. Oh, you guys don't like that? Yeah. Oh, shit, they noticed. It's like, that's honestly what it seems like.
Sorry.
Team Ico's Last Guardian will run with 60 frames per second and next-gen enhancements on PS5 if you have the disc version. If you have the digital version, you can go fuck yourself. And you'll get 0 upgrades and it'll look just like PS4. But if you have the disc version, finally cavemen have a perk to having the disc version. But yeah, you actually get to have the next gen. You get to actually have it run like a next gen game with beauty upgrades and everything.
Physical disc game
on the disc, baby. It's so weird. At this point, that makes no fucking sense because it's not like they're adding shit to the disc. The digital version and the disc should have the same fucking upgrades when you run it on the console, but somehow they fucked that up. And another epic announcement by FromSoft / PlayStation. They have confirmed Bloodborne will run at 30 frames per second on PS5. So the guy who made the 60 frames per second patch like months ago and said that he's going to hold on to it if FromSoft and PlayStation will do the noble thing and release it in 60 frames, he will not release it in respect. He's going to release that patch now. So that's going to come out. Because, fuck that game apparently, because that game's never going to have an official 60 frames for some reason, which... Why? Fucking
Just
why? Come on. So yeah, that's been officially confirmed. The PS5. Now, finally, a good thing about PS5. I know there's a barrage of bad news for PS5.
That's alright.
But
on
the good side of things, the PlayStation's in-console capture card can capture 4K footage. So if you really want to go through that pain in the ass. I don't know if you guys have ever edited 4K footage on a computer before. That's just a pain in the ass. That's a fucking big-ass file, first of all. Like a 10-minute 4K video is like 50 gigs. And then on top of that, to like load it in and then render it in 4K, that shit takes like hours to do. But anyways,
processor.
So if you really want to record it in 4K, you can. And I forgot, I think it was 30 minutes on the PS4. This one will automatically record your last 60 minutes of gameplay. So that's kind of cool. So when you press the share button, you're like, oh, I want to capture the last up to 60 minutes. So that's kind of cool. I know that made for, like, before I got my Hauppauge, well, I had my Hauppauge already, but before I could be fucked to hook it up, that was a nice, good way to make ghetto LPs if you don't want to, like, you know, have everything done already. You want to just rip everything up and then do a voiceover and everything later on your computer. It's a nice, good way. It's a good way to do that, especially if you do anything from 10-minute to... I mean, hour-long episodes are always boring for most LPs anyways. Very few people I know have pulled that off where I'm like, I want to watch a whole hour episode. So... it's nice that it lets you go that far, because then you can split that up and record it into, like, you know, like 7 episodes or whatever. So that's kind of cool. That is a good thing. The fact that PS5, again, if you want to be fucked to edit all that, can be done in 4K. So there's that.
Neat.
For some reason, in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, guess who makes Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
Ubisoft? Is it Ubisoft?
It is them.
Oh, yeah.
They've decided it would be really woke to have a COVID reference in the real world portion of the game. So there is a part where you're playing as the protagonist Layla Hassan, who is your Desmond, whatever the fuck of the game, and there's a portion where she goes up to somebody. I can't believe
they're still trying to do that shit.
I know. She goes up to somebody. Wow, she goes up to somebody mid conversation. You kind of overhear it, and she goes, "I don't have COVID, no. I'm well isolated. It's just 3 of us traveling together, staying out of sight." Basically trying to be like, just because there's a group in the game, guys, they're practicing social distancing, and I was like, it's just a fucking game. You can just say it takes place in 2050, who gives a shit, and then now there's no more COVID.
It's fucking escapism.
It's like one of those things where it's just like, God damn it. I know. It's just, when they try to do stuff like
you
this.
You want to get away from reality.
Yeah, there's that too. It's like, you really don't want to hear about, with how much you have to hear about COVID all the time, you really don't want to fucking hear about it in your fucking escapism game.
Like, I'm not going to get that now.
And it's just weird to me, too, to include that, because they're just trying to be hot topic-y and be like, we know what's going on in the world. It's like, apparently not, because you put a fucking gender-identifying, like, fucking gender-hating, gender identity-hating person, as well as racism, basically.
That begs the question, is there COVID mentioned in, what's the new, Legion? Mm-hmm. Because that's only, 2 years from now?
Oh, yeah, that's true. If anything should have had that reference, it should have been Legion.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not sure what year the real life part takes place of a thing, but I'm sure it's probably further than that by now.
I'm saying.
Because I think Odyssey was already like 10 to 20 years from now? So yeah, if anything, this one should take place after that. COVID... So basically what Ubisoft is saying is, if Ubisoft could have it their way, they will have COVID for another 50 years, is what fucking Ubisoft is saying in this narrative. So thank you for noticing that. But yes, that's basically what they're saying. Okay, so as the final topic, if you want to get in on this conversation, you can talk to us at, I'll just give my actual personal email, at disconnectedcastmail@gmail.com. That's disconnectedcastmail@gmail.com. And we're going to talk about how Sony, in a recent document that is leaked, talked about how at one point, not anymore, at one point, Sony was considering over $70 for a AAA game.
For exclusives.
They were thinking, thank you. For first party is what I meant, not AAA. But, so, you know, they were already kind of like, yeah, we think they should be $70 for regular games, and they should be more than that for our own titles. So Last of Us 3 should be $80. Then fucking, MLB The Show should be fucking, whatever. The next Spider-Man, when it's an actual full game and not just Miles Morales' 2-hour game, is gonna be fucking, $80 or whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, as they've seen in the market research, so someone's actually paying attention in Sony. Not everyone's chilling on that. So they haven't said it's gonna be like this generation where it's like definitive 60 for most AAA games, but they have said, we're not gonna go that high. So we'll see where it goes from there. Now, this isn't the first time that someone's kind of stuck their fingers in the water to be like, are people stupid enough to do this? That's how we got all this DLC and expansion bullshit, is because people were dumb enough to be like, it's fine, I'll pay $5 for a costume, it's fine, I'll buy $10 for one level, it's fine, I'll pay $30 for a season pass for content that hasn't even been officially announced yet. All that kind of bullshit. And it's one of those things where it's just like, stop it. Just leave it alone.
Just leave it alone.
Now, what I wanted to see with you guys, and I mean this, like, just try to think as objectively as possible when you answer this question, is how much do you think is actually fair for, let's just say, a AAA title, even if it's first party or otherwise? What do you think? Don't try to be super cheapskate and be like, I think every game should be free. Don't be an idiot like that. But This isn't fucking communism. But, everything should be ours. But anyways, but try to think objectively, what do you think is a honest, fair price that you think is okay to pay each time? Mr. Josh, do you have an idea in your head?
I mean, I would just start with like 40 or 50 bucks.
That sounds about, I was thinking 40, so yeah. But anyways, do you guys kind of agree with that? Do you think
that's where I'm at, is 40 to 50.
40, 50?
I mean, I'm comfortable with this 65 bullshit we've been in for the last, generation, so...
Okay, so for you, it's like they shouldn't go higher. You still disagree with raising it.
Never pay $70 to $80 for a game.
Okay. And then, that's the thing to me. To me, for some reason, everyone always lies about how the breakdown actually is. Mm-hmm. But I honestly think that I would love for them to show me how does $40 really break down. If you're like paying the devs, paying this, blah, blah, per unit, how much is it, 60 versus 40, is it really that fair?
Yeah.
If you're making, if $60 they consider fair because they're paying for Bobby Kotick's yacht, that's not really fair, though, because Bobby Kotick wants to make that much. Bobby Kotick doesn't need to make that much. He doesn't need to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where if you raised it down, so say Bobby Kotick, God forbid, becomes a millionaire instead of a billionaire, then the execs don't get paid $1 million a year, they get paid $500,000 a year, and then everyone else is probably going to get the same fucking $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 salary anyways. With that being the case, show me, in $40 then, if you guys take reasonable wages instead of this monstrous bullshit wages that you guys get, can you actually afford to develop a game on $40? If you can show me that actual breakdown and be like, no, it doesn't make any sense to do that because then we'd have to pay... even if we take our pay cuts, we'd have to pay the staff less, this and blah. I'd be like, okay, well, now I see where that kind of sucks because the devs really would get fucked over this. Even if you guys take your pay cuts, they'd take a pay cut too. That's fucked up. Mm-hmm. But if you guys can take a pay cut and they don't have to, and you can't show me why it should be more than $40, 40 to me is that golden number for AAA title. Because I get so many indie games for $10, $20, sometimes rarely $30, that I get so much more enjoyment and sometimes even more content and replayability out of than a lot of these $60 games. That's why I think 40, if you're gonna, because it's a AAA premium title, I think 40 is more than fine.
And even the DLCs with the indie games are better than the DLCs.
And they're usually free.
Yeah. Than the DLCs with the AAA titles.
Yep.
So it just...
I know. Like Monster Hunter, for example. Monster Hunter Rise in Japan, for $70, you get the plush and all that bullshit. I know we talked about this in the previous episode, but I'm trying to make a point. The premium version here, it's like $90, and you just get a bunch of digital shit that no one cares about.
Yeah. Like,
no steelbook.
No
nothing.
No steelbook even. Fuck.
No. You just get a bunch... You basically just get DLC that's probably going to be worthless after level 5. Yeah. It's just shit like that. It's a starter gear that's a little different than what you get normally.
I'd much rather get a plush or a steel case or something
or
else.
Both.
Or both, yeah.
I mean, for $90, I would pay $90 to get the steelbook and the plush.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like, I feel like that would be worth it.
Yeah, exactly. But they just like to do stuff like that. And the thing is, whenever it's something digitally like that, it's just like, who really dictates? Like, why is that level, or why is that, let's say if you break it down, let's say those each become $10 armor pack skins. It's just like, why? Yeah. It's not worth that, really, even if you break it down. But yeah, and then of course you always have the thing where, I forgot what game did it recently. It was some Japanese game. I don't remember if it was RPG or whatever, but basically, they now sold the pre-order incentive. Now that it's been out for like a few months to a year, they're just like, oh yeah. You know, you can just like, that thing that everyone pre-ordered the game for, you can just buy it. You just buy it.
I feel like that's almost any game these days.
Most of the time. Except stuff like Gears of War, where you were never able to buy those gold guns ever again. That's exclusively pre-order, period. I know, I got that too. Yeah. And that's the thing, I feel like that's how most DLC should be. A lot of times they do that. Like Forza did the same thing, where Forza had the pre-ordered cars at Best Buy, Walmart, blah, 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 and then you could just buy the cars later on anyway. So yeah, a lot of games do that, but that shouldn't be the case. No. If you are going to con people in pre-ordering a game, at least give them the dignity to be like, I pre-ordered it for a reason. Yeah. Or, some games will be like, exclusive for the first 6 months, exclusive for the first year. Yeah. At least say that. But this game for sure did not tell anybody that they were going to sell the pre-order stuff later. We're just like, fuck it, we changed our mind. Yeah. So, I don't know. But, yeah. I can see where you're coming from, John, where you're kind of like, I have no problem paying it. But yeah, I would say ideally, though.
Yeah.
Ideally, $40 probably fair.
Yeah, but why would we save up to buy, fewer cups of coffee? Why do they need?
Oh god, like the guy that got super fired from PlayStation. I remember that. I forgot what his name was, but the old CEO at the time, or one of the, I don't know, they have weird titles in the corporate, but big top PlayStation man in Japan at the time. When the PS3 came out, and everyone was just like, why the fuck are you charging everyone like $700 for a PS3? Oh, they need to learn how to save. I want to teach them discipline. And all this bullshit, and some stupid shit like that. And guess what? He was let go the next year. So, well, that's why you don't say stupid shit like that, because it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's called, I just want to be greedy. It's not, I want to wipe my ass with dollar bills every day.
I'm an adult, and I can make my own decisions.
Yeah. So, it's just really weird that was his whole thing. He was trying to play on the, honor and discipline and all this bullshit. And just like, shut the fuck up. Get fired, bitch, and that's why you're fucking super gone.
Yeah. I always hate that shit, because it's very bold of you to assume I can afford Starbucks every day.
Yeah. It's that kind of mentality, exactly.
Starbucks is fuck off. Fuck.
Yeah. Yet somehow people think that
that's
what
everyone's the benchmark.
Yeah, you have Starbucks every day, clearly.
Two venti drinks and like a sandwich is like $25.
Yeah. Easily.
I make coffee at home every morning.
Yeah.
I just get it from work for free.
Oh yeah, or that. That's even better if that's an option.
We po folk.
But yep. But anyways, yeah, that being the case, that's pretty much it. It's just annoying that the corporations find it that they're that gullible where they're just they really are just keep sticking their toes in. They're just like, how about you just fucking think about something? They just leave it alone. How about instead of trying to see if you can raise shit? Oh, does everyone want to buy these levels? Oh no, okay, calm down. This is like, well, no, not calm down. Like, stop asking, like, stop trying to split games up or stop trying to charge more for shit. The fact that Sony and they're probably not the only ones. There's the EA and everybody has announced that they've thought about it too, and they're still thinking about it. So it's just like, why? Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Especially knowing the state of the economy and all of that.
That especially,
now, it's like they're not thinking of they're not, but
There's
it's like they're not thinking, like that. It's like they're not thinking about the average human.
No one ever gets to groan at that joke, because both of you guys did that when Shubs was on the podcast, so no one gets to laugh at using golden or disconnected as a pun ever again. Only I get to cringe at puns, because I hate them, and I hate it when people use them. But anyways. But yeah.
No, there really is a disconnect. These fuckers don't have any concept.
It's like they're not listening to the not just the American people, but like people in general, because I'm sure a lot of gamers are like, why would you spend that money?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's already at a ridiculous state. I think 60 is already a lot. So the fact that they even thought about raising it, I'm like, fuck off. That's even fucking worse. It's bad enough y'all are doing this. You're already raping us every day.
This is why
just leave us alone. Now you're like, can I add another person? It's like, fucking no. I'm already getting it bad every day. I don't need to add another person. Shut the fuck up.
No, that's why everybody's going with indie games.
Well, that and because of the fact that those devs do get more of it because there isn't that corporate shield. Yeah. And then on top of that, it is one of those things where you actually feel like you do get more out of it.
Do you think we'll have an inevitable renaissance like we did with the music industry where independent artists, or where artists just went independent once their content
I could see that. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. See, once everyone got tired of the top 40 bullshit in the States, everyone started kind of just splitting their own ways. Some artists that are established started giving their music away at buy your own price or for free. Several artists, but of course, obviously, I think we obviously have talked about Trent Reznor and stuff in the past. And it's one of those things where I would like to think that that's the case, where everyone's just going to kind of like say, fuck these corporate shills, and we're just going to do our studios. Since we have the expertise, we have these people. For Obsidian, for example. Obsidian still gets hired by these big publishers every once in a while, but they release games like Pillars of Eternity and Outer Worlds by themselves because they're just like, we can just... Well, they didn't do it for... I don't think they did it for Outer Worlds, but they definitely did crowdfunding for Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, where they're just like, see, we've built up our clout enough after being, AAA bitches... Yeah. That now we're just like, fuck them. Now we don't need them anymore. We have our following and we can do that. And everyone can do that. But I would like to think that over time, talented studios like that can grow independently, really self-publish, and then they can go that route. I'd like to think.
Okay, that was going to be my counterpoint.
I don't know if we're ever going to get there, because that's tough. It's really tough. Yeah, it's why a lot of musical artists don't do that, because with the exception of digital distribution, fucking physical media distribution especially, that's just hard. Yeah. If they do go that route, you are talking about if these indie studios all go independent, no more physical releases probably because it's just way too much money to use manufacturing plant and stuff like that to do everything. So if they do go that route, we are talking about all digital for sure.
That was going to be my counterpoint. Like the only two artists I can think of in recent memory would be Radiohead and Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah,
but
because not everyone, because those big
they were
groups,
established. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because not everyone has the fucking money to do that. Trent Reznor probably has with the royalties he's getting from fucking what is it? Doom? Wait, which game? Quake.
Well, I mean Quake, and then the Patriot.
And so with all these other royalties and stuff like that, he would technically not have to make music ever again, and he can just go on a one Nine Inch Nails tour and make all that money up and everything. So he knows that, and because of that, he's just like, I don't really need to sell my music anymore. Yeah, exactly. And because of that, he's pretty much been giving away all the new music for free for a while now, or again, at least that name your own price or whatever, where you can choose to give whatever. So that's really cool. But
the industry,
I would like to see us go there. Just to really show these, just to make these AAA studios sweat. Yeah. The fact that we're going to be playing all these other games, whatever the Hades will be at the time, whatever, or even CD Projekt, and say that they go that route and they don't be as shitty anymore. Yeah. And then we get to see the next Witcher, and it's all independent, and it's at a reasonable price and everything like that. And then see EA try to shit out Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 or whatever the fuck, and then no one care and no one buy it because everyone's just trying to get into the indie train, and everyone's just like, no, let's just, fuck EA, we're so tired of that, they're just going to do, like, piecemeal and everything. I would love to see that. I know that's an ideal world situation, but I really would like to at least see it where we can get to the point where AAA game sales really start dipping, where we're just like, oh, fucking, because every time they consider stuff an astronomical failure now, like with the last Call of Duty, they considered that a failure, even though it sold like 50 million units or some shit like that, since it didn't sell the 100 million units of the previous one, they're just like, this game bombed. And it's just like, it made millions of dollars.
I was going to say, that's the issue, though. There's always going to be those, that market of 15-year-olds that are going to buy COD.
Yeah, that's the thing. Until the mainstream gaming industry, or the mainstream gamers that literally only play Fortnite, only play Call of Duty, and maybe Madden, and that's literally their trifecta of games. There are people like that exist. Yeah. People like that exist. Even older people too, Dude Bros and everything. That's the only games that they like. When they don't really like games, they just like that shit.
Yeah, 2K is you pay for a roster update. That's it.
Yeah. Until that demographic fucks off, you're right. That probably is going to be the last standing barrier between us and freedom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sadly, it's just what it is. Until the red backwards cap bros fuck off. That's all we can remember.
I was thinking it's just a Fred Durst army.
That was the reference. Yep. So with that being the case, that's it. We will catch you guys next week. We'll figure that out later when we record. Sometime next week at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Until the next episode, we will catch you guys then. See ya.
Bye.